Do better, see, do better today on Doop by the River. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the special edition Eastern Conference final edition of Doop by the River. We're going to look back at what happened against Cincinnati as we gear up for the Eastern Conference finals, a sweet rematch against NYCFC. And don't you dare go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, because you do not want to miss this episode of Doop by the River. Let's get it started, guys.
Doop by the river.
Doesn't do anything well. There is not one.
I'm sorry. There was no creativity.
As a Union fan, I take that all day.
Another DP. We need to go get Mario Balotelli. And that is right. Welcome, everybody, to Doop by the River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union. And, of course, we are brought to you by Philly Sports Network. Before we start off today's episode of Doop by the River, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, welcome on in. If you're watching this live on YouTube or if you're listening to this River Stream podcast, thank you so much for choosing us. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you're watching here on YouTube and subscribe for all your further live viewings of Doop by the River, and make sure you guys subscribe wherever you stream podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Eastern Conference edition of this. We have been here. We've been waiting for this long enough. It's been exactly last year since we've been waiting for this moment, and we have our opportunity now to not only get into the MLS Cup, something we have all been waiting for, but what better matchup against NYCFC. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, joining me in today's preview and recap, Justin Kosher Carranza Friedberg, rocking the specs. What's up, Justin? How you feeling, man?
Pretty good. Yeah, these are new. Turns out, fun fact, you can be nearsighted and farsighted. Thank you, Mom, for those genetics. It's been a fun week. It's been kind of crazy. Watching the games last weekend. I mean, there was some pretty entertaining. I mean, listen, I made the mistake of staying up for El Tráfico, the end of El Tráfico, and oh my goodness, I paid for it the next day. I was dragging at work. But nah, it's been wild. I love that we get this rematch. The Fauci Derby, as I've so colloquially named it with our friend, our guest on later. But no, I'm so fucking excited. Like, man, I've been waiting for this, exactly a year. Yeah, like at this point, it just feels right that it's NYCFC and not Montreal. Like, I will say, unfortunately, I was talking with Eve the whole time, and it was a heartbreak. She was looking forward to coming here, but it is. Hey, we are, it is. We are in the Eastern Conference final. We are one game away from the MLS Cup. Man, it just feels right this year. Like, everything that has happened, it feels right, and I'm so excited to break this down.
On like a national perspective, Justin, this matchup is great for our league. Dude, just the storyline in general, the COVID situation last year that kind of derailed our opportunity in the Eastern Conference Finals. We lose to NYCFC, who went on to win the MLS Cup, to come all the way back next year to run it back with the same two opponents. This is only great for our league, not only just for us here. And real quick, I want to say hello. We got Zach in the chat. Welcome, Zach. Appreciate you coming in here. We got Elijah. He's going to be checking on in from 138. Dude, we'll be in 139. You better say hello, Elijah. I want to meet you, brother. We got Zach, a single ticket in the River's End, brother, $100. That's where we're at these days.
I think that kind of strikes a nerve, and that brings me to, oh boy, I'm starting the rants early. Yeah, people who are price gouging other Union fans, what the fuck? Like, I'm sorry, but the tickets in the River End with fees for this game are, I believe, about $60 to $70, give or take. The $100 not necessary, especially in the River End. Like, come on, like around the stadium, I've seen, someone sell, I think I saw it was like around midfield, and I think the tickets are typically like $200. I think, and they were being sold for like $350 each, and I'm just like, and that's what aggravates me. I think, yeah, it's gonna be full, and like people obviously are gonna pay, whatever the market is, and it sucks. But like, if you're deliberately doing that, I'm sorry, like you are shit in my book. Like I can't stand that kind of stuff.
I completely get it.
I don't know, it gets on my nerves. That's just it really gets on my nerves.
I completely get it, Justin. And like, for us, like, dude, we been, I mean, you've been at this longer than I have. I mean, 2018 is really when I started going to games heavily as an adult. And dude, I remember paying $13-$16 for River End tickets. And like, for us to now have to spend close to that $100, that's a little bit outlandish, but like, that's just kind of how sports are these days. I mean, dude, they're trying to make us pay $1,000 for World. I get it's the World Series, but $1,000 for World Series tickets, they'll sit in the nosebleeds. That to me doesn't seem right. I think this is a problem in every sport. If I'm being honest with you, Justin, like spending like $300 to watch the lowly Commanders in the link for nosebleed seats, like that's just a problem. But it's sports, it's an entertainment. I understand they got to make their money, but they're making their money. Like I think I agree with that. I think it's ridiculous, but I think it's ridiculous for every single sport that we definitely have to watch. But Mike, you're right. That building, it's gonna be electric.
Oh yeah, no, I think it will be in an atmosphere that I don't think we've ever seen, and I don't know, like I don't know if my body or my mind is ready because, like, we've seen that place loud and we've seen it electric, but we've never had this type of situation. This is unprecedented territory for this team to have an exact matchup. Obviously given everything circumstances, I think it adds another element to the drama, and that's exactly why we got the we got the 8 o'clock slot. It's prime time. That kind of drama from like that builds the the real the tension, the atmosphere, and it is. I legitimately think like you might be able to hear us on the other side of the river at like the way things might be going, because if we win, it is that, I mean, the soup may have to be reconstructed in a week because it might get level with all the sound that we all the noise that we create. Like, hey, listen, if the Union win MLS Cup at home, I hope they we might have to play the games in the link while they rebuild the soup, because it'll be insane. But I'm super excited for Sunday. I don't know if I'll be able to sleep Saturday night, and I have a Halloween party. Like, I do not know if I'm going to sleep because it is going to be an insane atmosphere.
Dude, I'm with you. I have a Halloween party with some old friends back in the old neighborhood, as they say. So I'll definitely be able to sleep on Saturday night. But I'm with you. I'm so stoked for Sunday, man. It's going to be a lot of freaking fun. We got New York in the building. The New Yorkers already out here chirping as they do best. Yeah, dude, resale culture is just toxic and garbage, to be honest with you. And it doesn't matter what it is. Last year's ECF was my first Union game. That's a great first Union match to go. I mean, obviously you didn't win, which kind of is heartbreaking, but that's pretty dope, man. Yeah, you know what? We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that right later. But Justin, real quick, because we do have topic to get to, then we got our special guest coming up at the 9:45 point of this pod. So real quick, Justin, MLS named the MLS Coach of the Year this past week. Jim Curtin wins it for the second time in 3 years. Shouts. First off, let's show some respect to the legend Siggy Schmidt as well. The Siggy Schmidt Coach of the Year goes to Jim Curtin. And Justin, this was an interesting voting. Obviously, Jim handily won this. But, I'm going to start off by saying this. Listen, everyone knows here, I bleed the blue and gold. I love Jim Curtin. That dude, like, I'm so thankful for that man. I really did feel like Wilfred Nancy should have won Coach of the Year this year. I understand the payroll. I understand the success and the dominance that Jim has had with this team. But when you consider the history of Montreal, the situation that Wilfred Nancy found himself heading into last season. Dude, Terry Henry, like, was it 2 weeks before? He's like, I'm out. And then Wilfred Nancy's put in there. And in the short span of 2 years, he's turned this team into an elite squad in the MLS. That's kind of why I put him there. And Steve Durandalou, it's just a popularity contest. Kind of felt like why he's in there. But for you, man, Jim, he should have won this, in your opinion?
Listen, I think the voting shows like why it literally was 0.1%. Jim Curtin won with 23.57%, and Wilfred Nancy finished second with 23.47%. Listen, I think the only reason it was that close, if you look at the voting, so Jim won the players' vote with about 23%. Wilfred Nancy only got about 9% of the player vote, and Jim won the technical staff vote. The thing that kept Wilfred Nancy in there, and I think they were. I said I couldn't decide between the two. I think either one would have been okay. The only reason it looks like that Wilfred Nancy was even in it was because 43% of the media voted. Like, I don't think it was that clear cut to where that big of a margin. I mean, Jim finished second in that section at like 17%. I do not understand. Like, yes, Wilfred Nancy did a lot with what he had, but again, Jim having had sustained success, there was a bit of roster overhaul in the offseason. That payroll helps. And with Montreal, yeah, their defense was a bit, but like they traded for Alistair Johnson. That was a high money move. You had Victor Wanyama. Yes, Ismail Kone was a a young signing. You had Mihajlovic ball out this year. And yeah, Kai Kamara, fountain of youth, that man, people forget that you underestimate him. He's the third all-time leading scorer in MLS history.
That's wild.
Yes, I think all of that contributed to why Wilfred Nancy's in the conversation. Like, I think it was a tight call. And at the end of the day, I'm not I can't be upset with this because Jim Curtin, having the most goals scored in a season, having the least goals given up in a 34 game season, you having 3 double-digit goal scorers, you have your attacking mid finishes second in the Golden Boot race. I just have a hard time being like, no, Jim didn't deserve this. If he had lost, I've been like, yeah, it was a close call, and I think this is one of the situations where either coach deserved it, but I think Wilfred Nancy was definitely helped in the voting by that media vote. But I think both coaches were worthy of it. Steve Cherundolo, typically the idea is, oh, well, the Supporters Shield coach wins it. I just think people looked at it and went, nah, like, you had all those players. Like, he did, yes, well, the first year coach, he did pretty well. But I think people look at the high payroll and go, come on, you're a good coach, but I don't think people are going to give you the benefit of the doubt with that kind of a roster.
Yeah, man. Listen, this could have gone either way, and I agree with you in that instance. And at the end of the day, I mean, like you mentioned a really good point. I mean, this is a pretty dominant squad defensively and on the attack as well. So I think that definitely had a big factor in this. Real quick, so we can get into Cincinnati. You think he goes to Columbus? Wilfred Nancy, that is.
Is that a rumor?
Folks put that out there. No.
No.
They're trying to get the interview with Montreal.
I would be curious, I guess, because Bezbachenko was I know he was with Toronto, and I couldn't see him leaving. I don't think they'd want. I don't know if he'd have it. It's like Jim. I don't know if he'd have any interest in leaving Montreal. I mean, he's been that team a long time. I don't know if he's ready to just jump ship. But who knows? I don't know. If Tommy Scoops is tweeting it, I mean, there's got to be some credibility to it.
The Stash is tweeting that. By the way, speaking of stashes, I just want everyone to know we made it. SKC Fan TV followed the DOOP by the River Twitter account. So
I said it on Twitter. Like, so he's in he's always on the Cooligans the live streams, and I was kind of like, I'm like, man, my soccer world got even smaller. I was like, it's what are the odds?
We have to play KC next year, right?
I don't know. You know how it is with the West. It's weirder this year, and now with
Been like 2
St.
seasons.
Louis coming into the league and Nashville coming back to the East, I have no clue. I don't know how it's gonna work.
Well, I want to play SKC just so we can have him on the pod because I think we'd have a lot of fun with him, Justin.
Oh no, 100%. One, if we play SKC, he will absolutely need to be on here. But two, either way, regardless, we got to make an effort to go out there or for him to come here. Like either way, it's got to happen.
Something. You're on to something, my friend. The Colombian and the Argentine. That's gonna be.
Oh my God, that's listen. If there's food involved, you know I'm there. Listen,
I'll dress up like El Pibe, and then we'll have SKC Fan TV dress up as Diego Maradona. So there you go. There you go. I love it. Halloween started early, guys. Get out of Montreal while you can. Everyone else wants.
Yeah,
so that means that Nancy's going to DC too, huh?
No, that's Rooney wants out of DC.
Hey,
as Pablo Maurer calls it, the Colleen clause.
Pablo Maurer. What's up, Ivan? I was at the Cincy game, and I will be at the Soup this Sunday. I cannot wait, but I must say these prices are ridiculous. Union playoff taking a toll on my wallet, so they better win the cup. Ivan, I wonder how those Phillies fans are feeling with all these prices as well. I mean, playoffs are not cheap, guys. They're fun, but they're not cheap. That's for sure.
No, not cheap at all.
No, not at all. All right, let's get into it real quick, Justin. Union versus Cincinnati in the second round of the MLS Cup playoffs. The Union come away with a huge 1-0 victory here. And when you're looking at this starting lineup here for the Philadelphia Union, the big surprise, of course, was Alejandro Bedoya not starting, and that was obviously a bummer. We kind of knew that coming into the match, but we really weren't sure what was his role. Would he start? Would he be in the 18? But in total, he wasn't even in the 18. Jack McGlynn got to start the right shuttle midfielder, and Bizo got to start the right back. Everything else was the same. And listen, this was playoff soccer. Like, this was physical. This was chippy. Obviously, listen, we all knew what happened in the regular season. The familiarity of Pat Noonan with this Union squad was definitely a factor and made it very interesting 2 matches in the regular season. But we kind of talked about this going into the playoffs. It's a different animal. And the Union, at the end of the day, with their playoff experience and just the players they have on that side, it really, to me, was the biggest difference. And, of course, it would be the playoff without a crazy goal. And Leon Flock getting the 60th minute goal with the kick that really was not much, but it was just enough to make the difference. And the Philadelphia Union got the win. There were some nice opportunities at the end of the game. That Corey Berg falling down, almost curled that ball. That was really nice. But Justin, man, that was a gutsy performance. What did you were right behind? We were together. We were you, me, Tim. We were all together in the River's End. What was your takeaway from behind me?
I think 2 big things. One, the scoreline was deceptive. The Union controlled a lot of the game. They, I think, could have had 3 or 4. I mean, they had a number of very, very close chances. Celentano did come up with some good saves. Some just went wide. So I think that scoreline doesn't show the full extent of the performance. But 2, the biggest thing, and it's the thing I mentioned during the podcast, and it held true. Luciano Acosta was a non-factor. El Brujo, that matchup, I said, was absolutely key. If Luciano Acosta got going, the Union defense was going to be in for a bad time. And Brendan Vasquez forced Andre Blake into a couple saves, and the second one was the quote unquote more difficult, but he was in perfect position. There was at no point where I was like, oh my God, we're getting dominated. It's like, no, Luciano Acosta was a non-factor. Vasquez had a couple shots that's hit. Brenner was an absolute non-factor. He was invisible. I mean, and they threw on, Sergio and Dominic Baggi. They were throwing the whole entire kitchen sink, the whole kitchen at the damn point. And it was nothing. The Union defense played absolutely perfectly. And El Brujo, I know Andre Blake was absolutely key, but I think El Brujo had an absolute man of the match worthy performance because he put in an absolute a masterclass of a game for him. We talk about Jim at one point in the season said, yeah, that he probably is one of the best sixes in the league, and I think at this point in the season, I think that's it's showing why they believe in him so much. And like that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing. El Brujo stepped up. The Cincinnati offense got shut down, and that was it. That was how the game was played out. The Union, I wouldn't say there really were any nervy moments where you're like, oh my God, oh my God. I think the Union settled in, and as the second half went on, when they were throwing everything out there, yeah, the Union could have had several goals just on the counterattack alone. I mean, the thing I love with the way Corey Burke's been utilized is they were just hitting balls over the top. Matt Miazga and Nick Hagelin were getting hounded by Corey Burke. And there was one moment, the exact moment we're talking about, where their number 6, their CDM, was kind of slowly taking the ball up in the box. And Corey Burke comes from behind him and does what he did to the DC outside back that led to one of the Union goals. He just steals it from him, took a slightly heavy touch and picks his pocket and curls it literally just wide of the post. And that's what Corey Burke brings. I think overall it was a solid performance all around. I think, if you're Jim, you probably would have loved to have seen a few more of those chances go in, obviously. But, Andre Blake made 5 saves. He got the clean sheet. I think it wasn't
Huge saves, man.
I mean, some of the saves, the one on Junior Moreno was a nice save. He didn't even have to take one touch. He just used the momentum of the ball to curl it, and Andre Blake made a good save. He was in position, but he made a great save, and that's what Andre Blake does. The only thing I will say is, and I know I'm not usually overly critical or overly praising of the ref, but Tim Ford did an absolute piss poor job of managing the game. He, from the start, was not calling consistently. Things were getting out of hand. He definitely should have got the card out a little earlier. And things got physical. Things got very chippy, very ugly. And I was waiting for the powder keg moment.
You looked overwhelmed, Justin.
For something silly. And that was his first playoff game. Like, I get you have to have a start somewhere. And I know Tim Ford's been around as a ref for a few years, but that was bad. That was bad game management from the referee.
And listen, Jim actually talked about that too. And it's funny because I remember seeing that on Twitter, and I'm thinking I just kind of didn't even think twice about it. Kind of just scrolled through it, but that was kind of a big thing to talk about. I mean, it was a terribly managed or officiated match by an official. So that was definitely crazy to see. But I mean, your point on Brujo, and I do think he picked up some sort of a knock, and he kind of gutted it out. I don't think it was just him wasting time. Part of it was, but I think that he gutted it out for most of it throughout that match, and it was truly impressive. I think I looked back at you close to the end of the first half, and I'm like, dude, look where Acosta is. This dude got so desperate, he decided to pick on Mbaiza, and look, dude, Mbaiza looks solid defensively.
Yeah, that was the thing I was impressed with. Olivier, the thing I love about our outside backs is they know when the moments are right to pinch, and there were times. And you know how Tim and I are. I love I talk tactics during the whole game because it's just how I am and how I always look at the game from that perspective, and I always look at mini adjustments during the game. And Luciano Acosta very early on was getting frustrated and was dropping deeper and was dropping on. He was on this point on almost every part of the field because El Brujo, Leon were harassing him, were forcing him off the ball, and he likes to control the ball. He likes to be on the ball, and he wasn't getting on the ball as much, and he was forcing his way in, and it didn't work. And that's what I love is he showed what can happen when he makes an absolute, when he really makes a performance. He can shut down an opposing offense. And I think,
man.
again, that'll come key for Sunday. But I think that's something that, looking at El Brujo, this is clearly why they brought him in. This is what he's capable of. And it's why, he's endeared himself. While he can be divisive among the fan base, it's also why, universally, when he's on his game, he's absolutely one of the most loved players on this roster.
It's all about setting the tone, and that's kind of what El Brujo does every single match, and it's a lot of fun. Brandon Vasquez, I thought we did a good job of shutting him down too. That one play, and Wobo and Bodo, the Nigerian.
Are you talking about the I'm basically calling it a shaft because it felt more like a pass, and I know Barrial was cutting in, and it was going a little. It never looked like it was curling back. Like it just kept going and going wide. That was probably one of the more dangerous chances besides the Moreno chance. Brandon Vasquez had a couple shots. Brenner, Brenner was basically non-existent in the game. For all the games to not show up, it's literally the most important game. And that's what I kept saying to people. People were like, "Oh, their front three is so dominant." I'm like, "Well, our front three is better, first off, but also." If you shut down Acosta, you starve their service. Vasquez and Brenner rely on service. They're not ones to really create on their own. Vasquez kind of can, but Brenner absolutely feasts on service. So I think you saw what happens when Luciano Acosta was the X factor and he was neutralized, and that made it very apparent with the lack of real chances for Cincinnati.
Yeah, 100%, man. It was just an absolute just great job. I will say this though, the attack for me was a little overwhelming because of the fact that back line of Cincinnati was not that good. And I just didn't feel like we had good opportunities of our own, man. Against that Cincinnati back line.
I think they had a fair number of chances. I think you got Mianska and Hagelin into Reds and the first
was...
I think 60 minutes or so. I think you made that back line work for a lot, and I think you can't give the Union that's one day where they only needed was one. Like I've said this, there are games where you have all the chances and all they need is one. I think if the Union have chances like say Montreal did against New York City, I don't think it's just one goal. I think there are games where it'll only be a 1-0 game, and then there's games where if you give them that many chances, they are going to finish.
Mike, we gonna be all right as long as we got Andre Blake between every play. Damn straight, man.
Don't worry about a thing.
Don't worry about a thing.
It'll be all right.
I felt like we were bunched up for the whole game. It's playoff soccer, man. It's playoff soccer.
Yeah, playoff soccer is ugly. If people tell you that it's pretty, they're not watching most of the playoffs.
Yeah, dude, this isn't. Listen, it's harder than you guys would think. Before we move on, Justin, this Cincinnati squad is not going anywhere. And knowing Albright, dude, he's gonna shore up that defense. That's one team that no one was going to face off in next season, especially in the playoffs. So keep that in mind.
I mean, yeah, I think they're good. I think there's obviously gonna be, I would say, hopefully improvement. But I think now, I think teams are going to look at that back line and go, okay, well, they're susceptible, and then they're going to look at Acosta and go, well, if you just choke out that focal point, it's not like there's not. So I think their pressing needs should be center back and attacking mid to help support. I think at that point you're not going to have if you only do center back, yeah, your defense will be better. But if a team does what they did to Acosta, like the Union did, there's not a chance that they're going to be able to pull that out.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And listen, it was fun. It was fun. You gave us a little scare, Cincinnati, but we move on as we are now preparing for the Eastern Conference Finals, ladies and gentlemen. We're back at it here again. So, guys, we're facing off against NYCFC. Who else would we have on to preview this matchup than Mr. Christian Polanco himself of the Soccer Cool?
All
Hold
right.
on. We got to get it in focus, bro. We got to get it in.
He's flexing on us
focus,
already.
That was good. That was good,
What
Christian.
is good, gentlemen?
It's always good seeing you, Christian, man.
Likewise.
Despite, listen, it's us against you guys again, but man, it's always a pleasure seeing you. Now we do miss Alexis, which hopefully he's having a great night, and we listen. We love the success you guys are having. I have to first congratulate you guys on the Premier League Fan Fest. You guys absolutely killed it.
Honestly, that was wild. Just Christian and I caught up at Fan Fest, and I said to people, we're getting in line, and I could hear them talking, and I said to one of my soccer teammates, I'm like, I'm friends with those guys. I know those guys. He's like, really? Like, yeah. I'm like, it was weird to say, but I'm like, man, I was like, I couldn't believe it, but yeah, y'all killed it. I was happy to be there.
It was thank you. Yeah, it was a very memorable experience, and it was we said this a whole bunch of times on the show. Like it's incredible that we got there, but there's a lot of gratitude for sure. All the support from Kosher Carranza, which is there's no better name than that. That's incredible. But dude, look, I see what you guys are doing. You're peppering me with compliments before
we take you down.
Okay. Yeah, you're buttering me up before, because on Sunday we ain't friends. Okay. It's like a reality show. When I go to Subaru Park, I ain't here to make friends. Okay. But outside of that,
blues.
We're all good.
I better get batteries thrown at me.
Okay. I just hope they're like A's, triple A's. I don't need no D's. Everybody.
I was just saying, it's gonna be a bunch of D's in a sock.
All of a sudden, this podcast just got turned rated R. So there.
But I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Always, man. Always. So listen. 200 tickets. Does that mean Christian Blanc gets one of those tickets?
You know what? Luckily, I don't have to take up one of those spots. I got press credentials for the game.
Nice.
So I'll be there. I don't know where I'll be exactly. I'll try to be. It's interesting. Every time we go to Subaru Park, there's a little bit. I always feel like Union fans hate NYCFC, but they love the Cooligans. So you know what I mean?
So true. So true.
There's people are torn. But we always get a lot of love out there. So
they're like y'all are funny, but we hate your team.
That's how Philadelphia should be. I mean, even with your own teams that you love, that's how it is. The standard is quite high.
Come on, Christian. You know how it works. We're the same people. We'll say "fuck you." All right, you want a beer? We'll say that in the same sentence.
No, Christian. It's literally.
Thank you for the Valentine's Day card. What a beautiful writing in it.
It's like that scene in Half Baked when he's like leaving. He's like quitting his job. He's like, "Screw you, F you. You're cool. You're cool. That's you."
I'm out.
I'm out. It does feel like a lot of deja vu. Not just obviously like we're going up against one another. We're obviously back in the soup. Hopefully no COVID this time that we know of yet.
We're watching now, Christian. little
COVID watch
going to Subaru Park.
It's gonna be the new DOOP strain. Damn, bro. You hate to see it.
DOOP 19 out here, man. It's going wild.
Could be the Trojan Timberland.
Bro, we're concocting it right here in my basement.
Like Christian, obviously, for us, there's a lot riding because of the loss that we happened last year. But for the NYC side, what is kind of the sentiment, the feeling on your side of it?
I think more than anything, we know. I said this on our show. I think it's going to be one of the best games in MLS history. I think as far as storylines, this is one of the better ones, and I wish everyone in the league really pushed it, and because I think it's just such a great revenge rematch kind of a thing. So look, last year it was unfortunate, right? And I've said this a bunch of times. If NYCFC lost that game, everybody would have been like, damn, you lost to a team that, was missing its best players. Y'all are trash. And NYCFC wins, it's like, yo, it doesn't count. They didn't have the best play. So there was no narrative that everybody was going to be happy with. It sucked. It is what it is. But NYCFC, they still had to beat Atlanta. They had to beat the Revs, and they had to beat Portland at the final. So it doesn't take away anything from that victory. But I know that this time around, especially, it's different because the Union beat us twice in the regular season. Especially winning at Yankee Stadium, that was a big deal for the Union. And I remember after the game, we were on the field and we were doing just some social content and stuff like that. And literally, Jim Curtin, after the game, he commented on one of our Instagram stories, and he was like, "Yo, why didn't y'all say hello?" I'm like, "Damn, bro, you got us."
Got called out by the Drip King.
So that is, I think that's probably the bigger part. I think for NYCFC, the fact that they lost twice to the Union is, I think that's the bigger challenge. I think it says that, the Union clearly remember what happened in the playoffs, and they're incredibly good this year. This is the best Union team, I think personally that I've ever seen, and I think even better than the Supporters Shield team. So this is, I think that's kind of what they're going into this match being like. They beat us twice. Let's get back at them. That's why I think NYCFC is gonna kind of play the game like, and we all know, it's not going to take much for the Union to get motivated for this match.
Yeah. El Brujo remembers. You
don't forget nothing. That's for sure, man. I completely agree with what you're saying, though, Christian. And as Mike Thomas chiming in here, there's an authentic budding rivalry of sorts. I think that the storylines in this matchup is so important for our league. Listen, we're still trying to find our identities even in year 27, I think we're in now, whatever it may be. But, dude, there's a great rivalry brewing between both of these sides, and it's legit. And now you got playoff history to back it up with all the storylines that kind of started last season going into this one. I think that this really does help our league as a whole, and I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, and I like the rivalry because I think it's based in a genuine respect for either side, as opposed to just having chippy matches for sort of no reason, or somebody two-footed somebody that they will never forget or whatever. There's no inherent rivalry between the two teams, but it has been like, all right, I see what you're doing. I see your success. Both, and I think both coaches kind of acknowledge that. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a red card in this game either. You know what I mean?
Listen,
I think.
Listen, we were talking about it, like, depending on the refs, like the game against Cincinnati, Tim Ford lost control of the game, and I kept saying to Johnny, I'm like, there's going to be a dust up. There's a powder keg. Yeah. Well, if it's ref the same way with NYCFC, oh, you bet there is going to be some red cards. And listen, I think, the two people are involved, maybe three people. It's going to be El Brujo. It's going to be Alexander Collins. And it might be Paul Rushing again. We don't know. Listen, he might get involved. You don't want to mess with our trainer. He's a scary dude.
Yeah, don't give him a reason to get on the pitch, bro. Don't injure anybody because he is the 12th man, the enforcer. Okay.
Christian, I don't know if you've seen what's going on social media, but Union fans have turned Paul Rushing into like a folk hero. Like he's like the new reincarnation of Chuck Norris. Like it's crazy what he's turned into in Philly.
Look, that moment is gonna be one of those historic MLS moments when he got a red. I think was he the only trainer or to ever get sent off. So it is pretty.
And the funny thing was, it was like the second time in a month that a player had gone at him while he was trying to tend to. The other player was Sebastian Blanco in Portland, and Blanco was like Maxi Morales' height, and I'm like, my man, he can pick you up and toss you into the trash can.
Right. They don't, they think that the trainers can't bring that smoke, and they very much can. He very much looks like he can. So Dude, yeah, I think it's gonna be just incredibly intense. You know, the NYCFC generally doesn't get into many matches like that where they're really like arguing or fighting with fans. I would say like Dati was definitely a guy who really got into it. Everybody, for NYCFC fans, you love to have a guy like Dati on your team. Everybody hated playing against them.
Hands at throats. Listen, we saw it.
Right. So I wonder like who's gonna be that person. I mean, I feel like NYCFC is pretty good at like not being too distracted by that stuff, but this is a game where that will not be the case. So, I think, Sean Johnson is the captain. I'm not surprised if he's running out of goal, trying to break up a little bit of a scuffle at some point as well. So I think this is going to be a match of like a lot of emotion and then managing that frustration or anger or everything. It's going to be who can focus the most and not make mistakes and stuff like that. That I think will end up leading to a win. But this is a game that I think might look like the NYCFC New England game last year, where late goal ended up going extra time, going to penalties. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up similarly.
Christian, give me the hockey goalie fight. Give me Andre Blake versus Sean Johnson. Let's go.
Honestly,
it was like Patrick Waugh and Marty Brodeur.
Emery versus God, who was that with this?
Yeah, there was a classic one. Well, yeah, the one that when they fought like in center circle. I forgot who it was.
But listen, I think the only player I feel like at NYCFC that would like maybe get heated, and I don't even know if he's going to be playing, would be Alfredo Morales. I feel like on the field, he can get into it. Like he's not afraid to mix it up.
I doubt he would play. I actually saw him at the game against Miami. And I think he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it to play against Montreal. I think he was hoping to, but I don't know of his status for the game against Philly. I'd be surprised if he started for sure because he's already missed a couple weeks. So yeah, but he's definitely one of the guys that has that that dog in him. You know what I mean?
That dog in him. I like that. Christian, let's talk a little bit about this run, man. It's funny because they call you guys the Pigeons, but you guys are New York cockroaches, man. It's hard to kill. You guys are pesky as hell. You talk about this run, man. That's incredible.
Which one's which one is any one of those a compliment? Like, man,
we're not supposed to be nice, Justin.
Okay, all right. Well, let's put it on a scarf. All right, put the roaches on the scarf. I think, look, it happened last year as well. NYCFC went on an incredible run. But more than the run of success, I would probably focus more on the winless in 7 or 8 games that they went through and changing their coach, losing Tati Castellanos, and to be able to come back from that and to find some success because, when Nick Cushing took over, he was like, we're going for the supporter shield. Now, I think that was really the focus. And he made so what led to this run was a lot of like big time decisions that I think an interim coach making took a little bit of courage. So going with 3 at the back, putting in all your center backs, really the 3 best center backs are starting, as opposed to when they played 4 at the back, one of the center backs could rest. So Thiago Martins, Collins, or Chanel always got a break, and they would rotate. And they were giving up a lot of goals. And the decision to go with 3 at the back, go with your best defenders. I think that was the sort of courageous move, and it led to a lot of success. So once they won Campeones Cup, they brought in their draft pick Kevin O'Toole, who has been incredibly surprising, and I don't think a lot of people expected him to play so well and to start especially. So that's really what did it. And I think my concern is Maxime Chanel got hurt in the game in Montreal, and I think
he didn't look good. Like, even though he was still trying to do the Ronaldo and coach, he just hobbling, and I'm like, that doesn't look good for a week because the way he came, like it was looked like it was like non-contact. Like he stretched out for it, and it was like, it was one of those. Oh no.
Yeah. So they and then in that same game they went with 4 at the back, and they brought in Keaton Parks. As soon as that happened, how many headers did Kai Kamara get?
What was it? Within like a second, I think Kai Kamara hits the post, and you're like, I was like, I was, we were texting with our friend Eve from the Balls Around, and she's at the game. I'm like, yeah, that should be like 3 goals right there. Like the amount of time I'm like, Montreal, like you guys weathered an insane storm, and as soon as Hebert put in the second goal, I'm like, oh yeah, no, Montreal missed their chance, and
without a doubt,
that's what it was. They missed their chance, and the second half was just riding it out.
Yeah.
Couldn't buy a goal to save their life, man.
Yeah. So that's my concern. I think if the wild move and this is my wild take, I think even if Maxime Chanot does not play in this game, I would say still go 3 at the back.
So do you put Justin Hack? Like
Justin Hack at center back? Let's do it.
That's
it's a big risk, but I think they play better and they control the game. They have a lot more possession. I think if they play that way, they'll the last 2 times NYCFC played Philly, that's the team they saw. They saw a team that plays with 4 at the back. This is a different team, and I think it'll be a little bit more unexpected. But yeah, thank you, Mike. I love all the puns. Kevin the Tool and Justin to A-Hack. But I think it's a risky move, but I think that's probably the best way to go up against Philadelphia for sure.
Absolutely, man. Let's talk about Tati. Obviously, listen, club legend already, right? Scored a lot of goals for you guys. And when you guys lost him, I mean, Justin and I had talked about how we felt you guys were dead. That was it. He's done. But how have you guys been able to kind of supplement his attacking prowess and the contributions that he gave you guys?
It's been, I think the goals have spread out a little bit. And I think in that run of losses, I think that was the adjustment, trying to figure out who the hell was going to score the goals. And I think it's been one, Eber took some time to kind of readjust to the team. Having Thales Magno, they were trying to figure out, should Thales play up front? Should Eber play up front? Because he was missing some decent chances and stuff like that. But I think the biggest difference and the people who stepped up are Santi Rodriguez and Gabi Pereira. Gabi Pereira, I don't think he was at the first match against the Union. He might have been at the second one because he came in mid-season.
I know he was a summer signing. I'm not sure if I can't remember if he was at that.
Yeah, game. I don't think he was at the first match, but he's been incredible. And I think that's going to be Santi and Gabi might be the biggest challenges for the Union because I think they're playing at another level right now. They're controlling the game. Gabi's going 1v1. And then even the first goal, it was that 1-2 from Santi to Gabi, and then sending the ball, crossing the ball where Maxi ended up getting the ball and getting the goal. So yeah, those 2 guys I think will be kind of the difference makers in this game. And if they can get, through some of the physicality of this game, which it will very much have, I think they can find some success.
It's crazy, man. One thing I wanted to ask, did I see Maxi playing deeper against Montreal?
Deeper meaning
like
forward or back?
Back and coming as kind of like a Vergi, because I saw him as a CDM.
He seemed like he was dropping deep and letting Santi and Gabi make more of the runs.
Maxi's a false 9, a false 10, a false 8, bro.
False goalkeeper.
He does it all, and he's one of the guys that will go in his own half to get the ball back and then start kind of making those decisions. So it's a little bit difficult to define Maxi's role because he does so much. I think the signs that show that he's obviously a very good all-around player. Is obviously he is scoring and the assist, but he gets fouled so much. He usually often like picks up a yellow every 2-3 matches. So he is going for challenges. He's trying to win the ball back. So that's how he is. I mean, it's been an interesting year for him because early in the year he fractured a rib in training, and he missed the game against Seattle in the Champions League, which NYCFC had probably a really good shot if Maxi would have played in that game. But the dude's a star. Like, people are already talking about, are we building the Maxi Morales statue? Are we building the Alexander Collins statue? Like, it could be Alexander Collins holding Maxi Morales if we can't make a decision.
I was going to say, is the Maxi Morales, going to be a bobblehead? It's going to be bigger than the MLS Cup banner. What's the size ratio? What's the size ratio going to be?
Bro, look, Maxi can't even hold on to he can't wear the ring. It's too heavy.
That was absolutely hilarious. Justin, I want to kind of bring it back to us a little bit. By hearing Christian, look, NYC's just seem to be on another level. Like, they're clicking right now. It's not what we kind of saw in the regular season. So to me, communication and listen, our defense in general got a good work rate against Cincinnati, but it's got to be on point on Sunday.
Yeah, I think the back line knows, obviously. Listen, El Brujo did a lot of the legwork. The big matchup was Lucho against El Brujo, and Lucho got shut down. Like we said, that Brenner and Vasquez were star for service. Vasquez had a couple shots. There wasn't much. That communication between Brujo and the back line was on point last week, and I think, especially with the way NYCFC are playing. I mean, listen, the Union are gonna step up for this matchup. I don't think they're not. No one's taking this matchup. Neither side is taking this matchup lightly at all. This is gonna be a slugfest, a rope-a-dope matchup. Both teams are gonna be trading shots, blows, maybe, both on the field and maybe throwing some punches. Who knows? We don't know. It's
we hope not. I don't know.
But hey, you never know with these games. I think we would say that the Union defense is going to have to, there are maybe one or two mistakes, and typically the way the Union play, they don't get punished for it. I think it's going to have to be that way because we know what this defense can do, and we know what the offense can do. It's just going to be which team is more clinical. I said which team is more clinical, so there might be a ton of chances, there might be a couple chances. Like, these games are never 1-0 slugfest. They are 2-1, 3-2, 3-1. Like, it's always a slugfest. And in both the games, it was 2-0 and 2-1, and that's about a scoreline you can probably expect for this game. But there's going to be chances. They will not be bereft of chances for this game. I'll tell you that much.
That is true. Before we get into lines predictions, Christian, I wanted to ask you. Look, I'm gonna give props to Cushing. Listen, he's done a great job so far since taking over for Dyla, but he's gonna go up against the manager of the year. How confident are you feeling for Cushing going up against Curtin?
I think he's talked about Jim Curtin as well in a couple of interviews, and there's definitely a lot of respect there. I think especially Jim Curtin is probably more than even the players is like, going into this match, I'm going to completely try to outwork and out strategize the opposing coach. And
Jim's got on his wall, Christian didn't vote for me,
bro,
for coach of the year.
I can't
right thing above his shoe collection.
I'm not gonna be able to look Jim in the eyes when I see him on Saturday.
If they win Sunday,
hey coach.
He's gonna look. I think he's gonna laminate a photo of me and be like, "Yo, you didn't vote me." I think look, if the resume sort of speaks for itself. I mean, as far as the more experienced managers, Jim Curtin, and I think it's going to be a real test for Nick Cushing, especially given the injuries that he might have to deal with on Sunday. So it's look, I don't think probably for both teams, I don't think it's going to be which manager is going to figure it out necessarily. I think it's very both like even teams. Like Justin said, like I think there's going to be some real chances. I would say my concern, if I was a Philadelphia Union fan, is probably the fact that they only scored 1 goal against Cincinnati. So I'm more concerned, or I guess happy might be the better word. Like it looks like Philadelphia Union's offense might be just a little bit. I would give the advantage to NYCFC. So that's where I think the NYCFC is actually going to get some real genuine chances, and Philly's going to have to sort of keep up with that. But I mean, we also defender of the year in Glesnes and Jake Elliott. Everybody, look, the Union have given up the least amount of goals in club history.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. They just as clicking defensively, like this is where this is what you want, especially in the playoffs. So it's not going to be easy to create those chances, but they're gonna come. There is going to be a couple, and can the Union keep up with those goal scoring threats that NYCFC definitely will have? So we'll see.
And that's the thing, Christian, we were talking about earlier. I feel like the score line is deceptive for like the Union's lack of chances. Right. Like the Union, I mean, they had Saltano played pretty well. There was the one chance towards the end of the game that Corey Burke snuck in, and man, he's been doing that time and time again. If you give him a second, he came in behind the defensive mid, turns and misses the post, hits the post, but it like another not even a quarter of an inch, and that's curling in. Daniel Gazdag had I think an open header. Like the Union are typically more clinical, and they're also one of those teams that in the end, if they only have a couple chances, most likely they're going to finish those chances. And I think the Andre Blake versus Sean Johnson, which star goalie is going to need to make that one key save, that one save that decides the matchup? Because Sean Johnson only gave up 1 goal, but I saw that goal. That was a very big lack of concentration, and that's rare from him. Right. I think it's rare from either goalie, so it might take that one weird moment that could happen. I mean, I think that's what it could come down to.
I agree.
But also, listen, I think Jim Curtin's gonna have a picture of you in the locker room. He's gonna be like, "Are you gonna let Wish.com Mountie talk to me like this?"
Bro, if that was the case, that would make me so happy. That would be the
best. Christian Polanco of Soccer Cooligans said, Mike Thomas actually said, since he knows how to negate the Union more than any other team, Sunday will look a much more different. We shall see, Mike. All right, gentlemen, let's get into some lineups. Christian, how could this NYCFC squad be lining up on Sunday night?
So yeah, this is tough, but I think so let's assume Maxime has some miracle. I'm gonna assume. Let's say he's there. I
hear him.
But literally, I don't know. He gets
voodoo magic. Yeah.
He gets Tiger Balm and his hamstring is healed. So look, I would say Collins, Chanot, Thiago Martins, then Nicolas Acevedo, Maxi Morales, Kevin O'Toole, Gabi Pereira, Eber. Who am I? Did I get everybody? Sean Johnson, obviously. Santi and Santi Rodriguez. Yeah. So that I don't. My other concern is Talis Magno. He looked pretty bad at the end of that game as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a scratch. So he's probably one guy that we would really miss off the bench if he can't play. So yeah, that's another a bit of a concern as well. So, but I do think that's the line. And if it's not Maxime Chanot, then I'd hope for I missed also Tinnerholm. That's what I missed on the right. Then I think they go with 4 at the back, and it would be Kevin O'Toole left back, Tinnerholm on the right, and instead of and then like the way when Keaton Parks came in the game. So I think it's going to look similarly to the game against Montreal, but even missing Maxime, it's still a very, very strong lineup. My main concern is the formation. If they play with 3 at the back, I think it's a much better and much more difficult time for the Union. If they play 4 at the back, they'll play more cautious. They'll hold on to the ball. They'll let the Union have the ball a little bit more, and it'll look like it kind of did against Montreal, where like a counter, winning the ball back, and getting in behind a couple folks. And again, Gabi Pereira and Santi they're great on the ball. They've been passing amazingly. And that's how I think it'll look.
All right. What about you, Justin? What do you think the Union's going to line up as Mike dropping his lineup here?
I think it's going to be the same lineup as last game. I would have to see. I believe Jim's presser will probably be tomorrow. I'll have to double check. But I would be curious to know Ali's status. I think they talked about it after the game, and Jim said, and I think Ali said there's no way in hell he's going to be missing this game, whether it's on the bench or starting. I'm gonna say that Christian, by the grace of God, if there's if some miracle happens, he starts. I obviously the formation won't change. I would love to see him back there. If he's there, I think that is gonna create, as I say, it's gonna force New York City to kind of rethink things, because the difference between Ali and Jack, while Jack is a phenomenal player, Jack McGlynn is more of a regista, where Ali is your typical box to box, and he's going to be crashing and he's going to be forcing things. And him and Maxi Morales have found the fountain of youth this year. Man, crazy. I would love to know what where that is, because even at 29 years old, I could use the fountain of youth at this point. But no, I think the lineup outside, I think we said Olivier. You talked about you had 2 defender of the year candidates and Glasnes and Wagner. Jack Elliott obviously could have been on that list. Olivier Mbaizo, his defensive work has improved dramatically, and I think against Cincinnati he absolutely was locked down. I think I was very thoroughly impressed with how he played there. Brujo, as we know, if he puts his mark on the game, I think it's going to spell trouble for NYCFC. When he gets on his game, he creates havoc. That offense, if he shuts down that offense, it's gonna be a long Sunday night for New York City, and I think that's still gonna be a big matchup. It's gonna be Brujo, doing his thing and really becoming a destructive habit on the field. And then listen, that front 3 is arguably, probably, I think statistically the best front 3 in the league. We first of all, thank you, Miami, for giving us.
Better show up on Sunday.
Yeah,
I still can't believe that we got him for that cheap. When you paid $6 million. Thanks, David Beckham, and Mikel Ua. Ernst Tanner doing it again with those signings. Obviously early on in the season he had injuries. It was really him clicking on, but once the summer really clicked on, he showed why they spent that money. He's very direct. He makes his runs in behind. And I think Maxime Chanot, if Maxime Chanot was out and there is that back 4, I think you're going to see a lot more of those direct runs. And if O'Toole is playing left back, Jim does know when to target players and when to those matchups. And I think it'll be interesting to see. I think based on formation, I'll be curious how, and if the Union, we talk about, if the Union possession to counter, The Union, I mean, even since our last matchup with NYCFC, the Union are a much different team. They aren't the same counterattacking team anymore. I think Jim finally evolved over the summer to honestly more of a possession game with some counterattacking ability. And I mean, it showed. Like, you know, I mean, the Union had a lot of the ball against Cincinnati, and they were slow, they were methodical, they were able to break things down, and they created chances. I think if you give this Union team enough time to create those chances, they're gonna put a few in the back of the net. And it's, you know, once they have if they're a few up, you know how Jim is, they are gonna make life miserable for the rest of the game. And so I always say that first 15 to 20 minutes is going to be key. Going to be key for this game. Who sets the pace, and if there's an early goal, I think that, you know, I always say early goals absolutely change the flow of the game. So we'll see how that first 15 20 minutes in an absolutely rocking Subaru Park. I mean, it will be electric. I think you will be able to hear it from the Jersey side of the Delaware.
Yes, I agree. The NYCFC fans will be very, very loud. I agree. Thank you.
All right, guys, let's get to predictions here. Justin, you can start it off, man. Give us your final score prediction and a key for victory.
I think, you know, we've been talking about it, that these teams are going to trade blows. It's going to be an ugly game. I think all NYCFC Union games are. Honestly, I know NYCFC is on a run, but this Union team feels different than we said. I think it's the best team that we've had in our history. This team just feels different on all aspects of the game. I'm gonna put a similar score line. It's gonna be 2-1 Union, and I think it is gonna be an ugly affair. And I think the key to the game is just gonna be the Union's offense. We talked about how, you know, I said it, how Montreal, had they finished some of those chances, we might not be talking about this matchup. And I think if the Union get a similar lion's share of those chances, I think that's going to spell bad news for the back line. So if they get those chances, and if the Union offense is more clinical, I think you could see the but I'm feeling 2-1.
2-1. Mike's calling 3-0, and he's calling the Cooligans coming back to Chester to cover MLS Cup. He's already calling it.
What a prediction!
It's a wild prediction, even from wait. We talking Mike Thomas. Come on, let's be honest.
I mean, look, if that's the case, it'd be nice to save some money and not have to go to LA for MLS Cup.
That's a good point. Good point. All right, Christian, give us the score. But as you know, this is the Union podcast, so give us a key for the Union to beat NYC.
Okay, I think the final score, I think it's 2-2. NYCFC wins in penalties. Nice little heartbreak at Subaru Park. But I think the stopping Maxi from having a lot of control of the game, which I think Brujo is gonna be very focused on Maxi Morales. So I would say that's a key, and not letting Gabi Pereira go up. Just either get around. Who's gonna left back is Baizo?
Kai Wagner,
which is, so that's gonna be a very, very tough matchup. Stopping him and stopping Maxi will be very, very important if the Union are to win. Defensively, like, again, it all, to me, it's still based on what that formation is going to be. NYCFC, they're going to have to defend very, very well, because, I mean, not only is it the front three, but you also have to worry about Kai Wagner. You also, I love that every time Jacob Glesnes has the ball, even in his own, in his own box, shoot.
It's become a running joke. Like, that's
what a
right you have.
What a great tradition. So there's going to be there's not much margin for error for NYCFC, but I think there are going to be a couple of goals in this game. I do think it goes to extra time, and yeah, I'm going NYCFC and Pens.
Listen, that's bold to think that Andre Blake's going to give up 2 goals. I'm just letting you know that's a bold prediction.
I get it.
Oh man, I'm excited for Sunday. It should truly be a fun one. Christian, as always, man, it's a pleasure always having you on. We're gonna have to have both of you guys on next time, but it's always a pleasure having at least one of the Cooligans. What do you guys got going on? Obviously, got to cover the MLS Cup playoffs, but there's no off season for you guys.
There is not, because we are going into World Cup. We're going to be doing daily episodes for the World Cup. We're going to be doing some watch-alongs. We have a new studio, so we're going to really try to use it as much as possible.
Finally getting some furniture,
Yes. So little by little, hey, every Patreon donation counts. All right, we need all the support. So that's going to be the main thing. We always say, like, if you like comedy and you like soccer, please check out our show. But daily episodes for the World Cup, so we have nice fun recaps of matches, previews. We're gonna have a bunch of fun guests, maybe some people calling in from Qatar and stuff like that. So it'll be a Mike said my Patreon money went towards a casting couch. Hey, look, it's called an investment. All right. So thank you. And you're welcome for the content.
It's the future.
Okay. All right. Soccer is not paying the bills. OnlyFans is the only way to make it nowadays. No. Yeah. World Cup. Obviously, I'm excited for it. So we're going to be doing a lot of stuff around it.
I'm kind of glad you guys aren't going to Qatar, because they'd kick you out right away.
But Christian, I know y'all are also going to be at the NWSL final on Saturday. If anyone's in DC, hit up wish.com Nani, and if you hear a man, if you hear a loud person, that is not
Orlando. Orlando should send me a kit that says wish.com Nani. That'd be great. We'll be there, and that'll be really fun as well. I was just literally at the CBS thing in Brooklyn earlier today, hanging out with Mitch Purse and a bunch of other folks from CBS. So that should be a dope game as well. So it's be a nice going DC to Philly and back to New York with a victory. So that'd be nice.
Racking up those miles, man. Jeez Louise. Awesome stuff. All right, guys, it's going to do it for another episode of DOOP by the River, guys. Have some fun on Sunday, guys. No matter what happens, it's been a fun team, all right? And let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe for more of your live viewings of DOOP by the River. And, of course, you can find us wherever you stream podcasts. We're available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Find us under DOOP by the River Podcast. And please, if you haven't already, please show support to our friends over at the Soccer Cooligans. Doing a great job. Soccer and comedy, the essentials of life. So make sure you guys do check them out. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Christian Polanco. That is Justin Kosher Carranza Friedberg. Of course, I am at Barcelona, Philly. And we're telling you guys to DOOP on and beat NYCFC, please. It'd be nice.
Thank you.